cream? Why are we out of cream, Alice? There's no cream out here.
I have to die because I have no cream.
Welcome back to Wish for Death Island, Population Me. We're back, folks. The cringe is back. We've got our usual 3 episodes, and then next week we've got 4, so it's a special one, and then we've got the big finale. Are you excited? Are you constipated? Is it a mix of both? You might want to sit down for this one. Another thing I've been looking at with these reviews is something that brings me back to Captain Marvel all over again, where people are so sensitive that they think being unhinged and being violent against someone who says something they don't like is badass and a good thing to do. Surely real people can't be like this. Oh wait, they can. Seriously, I don't understand where this came from, but imagine actually being like this and think that you're cool and advertising this as a fact. These people need to go outside.
Cream.
It opens with a scene of a woman approaching a man on the bed. The music choice is fucking terrible as usual.
Watch where you go, I'm an animal. You don't want.
This is the vampire episode. The lady goes to this man to do the underpants Charleston, and then he gets bitten and hypnotized. Later, she suspends him to drain his blood while she sits there playing Candy Crush or something. They immediately show that she's not even really a vampire, or a cool type of vampire copycat anyway, because she's using fucking medical equipment to drain him and knock him out.
Now that's all agreed to never be creative again.
Meanwhile, Asian, Luke, and Kate are all in the Wayne building. Asian is upset that Beth died, and she seems almost frustrated, almost like the audience is.
It wasn't supposed to be Beth.
Kate is a fucking block of wood and doesn't understand why she's acting this way, and Luke makes the most false statement ever, saying that they did everything that they could.
We did everything right. I thought we were in the clear, and then...
Yeah, having the situation under control and then deciding to move her to a more open location, that's how you do it.
We need to figure out who shot her.
I agree. The crows think that she's dead, and she's not, which means no one's out looking for her, and...
She always bumps into them anyway. Knowing this show, they're gonna fuck that up too.
Mr. Kane, how does it feel to be exonerated?
They just cut to Jacob leaving the courthouse and going, "How does it feel that you were freed and found innocent off camera?" How did they do this? Even the people who like this show were confused because they got no scene for it. It's like someone forgot the scene and added this in instead. And they had the evidence for him, but they acted like they didn't because they needed drama in the show. So how did they even find him innocent? None of this is answered. Jacob has a look at the corpse of Beth and determines that the bullet wasn't belonging to the crows. So it wasn't Black Lightning who shot her after all, so who was it? Instead of directly answering, she has a big thunk and says the target was moving, and Jacob finishes by saying,
Someone got her anyway.
And gives Beth a goodbye kissy. Kate apparently is still moping about Beth, and so to distract her, Luke hands her some news. I hate this. See, Luke says,
Lately things have been a little too serious.
And I guess people having their blood sucked out while they're paralyzed is lighthearted to him. But Kate reacts as though the entire story is a hoax, even though she knows that these things exist because she went through Crisis on Infinite Earth, and apparently this is far-fetched.
A vampire.
Wannabe vampire.
You're not serious.
Secondly, seeing something like this should make her think, this isn't a vampire, but someone is still out there killing people because they're either crazy or want to copy a vampire. I should look into this. They have to go to The Catch, which is a fisherman bar, and Luke is confused about bars because he doesn't go to clubs or anything, so Kate makes fun of him. Look, I don't go to clubs or bars either, but even compared to me, he's still a dork. But also, she's kinda weird for knowing every club in town. Do you ever just stay home and not drink and look for pussy eternally? So we get another terrible shot of her looking over the rooftops, and then she finds another victim. Without properly assessing the situation, she tears everything out, even though it might have just injured or even killed the victim, and she turns around and sees Beetlejuice over here.
Screams duo to me.
So they have a fight and this new bass boosted shit plays. It sounds like Never Stop Speedcore, and she gets hit and goes, "You're not my type," but the vampire is a whore and bites her, and Batwoman just lets her do this. But the vampire strings her up without actually taking the suit off, which is very thick, so I don't know how you're gonna get someone's blood through there. But she has to leave because someone is coming. Lord knows what happened to the other victim, must be close to dead or something. Maybe she just went to Burger King. Luke says that she was injected with a paralytic, which we can tell. So she was on the floor after being attacked. Then the rope thing was rigged up and she was put into it. This must have taken more than 10 minutes, but only now is Luke saying this and injecting her with adrenaline. She could have used that a long time ago. What she could have done was gotten the injection while she was being strung up, and then it looked like it didn't work after all, but that was because she was waiting for a perfect opportunity to strike, and it's the vampire lady and they fight more, but no. The person who was coming around the corner turns out to be Black Lightning, and Batwoman tells her to save the other person, who I guess is still there hanging out. How much blood did the vampire lady get out of you? But Black Lightning just lingers and they get all flirty even though they're wasting time. Then the crows show up and conveniently, the adrenaline hits, and Batwoman leaves. This means Black Lightning was going ahead for no reason without her backup, and the crows were just fucking off around somewhere else. Does she do this all the time? She also confirms that she got the victim, and convenient. Back at the bootleg hospital, there's an employee in the background. Where have you been? So people know it's a hospital and no one is shutting it down. I guess all the threats of it being shut down were just like empty threats. Also, I know people who are studying medicine. They barely have any free time. How are you always here? But they talk about Beth again, and Kate goes over all of the, an hour of time that she knew Beth. Asian finds out that Kate has Special K in her blood.
You have Special K in your blood.
Ketamine?
No, the cereal. I love me some fucking oats, said the vampire.
Was partying pretty hard last night.
I thought you said you were taking real estate classes.
Luke introduces the super flashlight that has the same light as the sun, and Kate suggests that they throw a party because they need to lure the vampire out since she's targeting partygoers. Meanwhile, Jacob is having a discussion with the crows. He's saying that they're not incompetent because they're incompetent. They just look incompetent because Batwoman is giving them a bad name because the city prefers her more and she's giving them competition. Both you and Batwoman are pretty shit, so I don't know why the city would have to choose, but I guess they have their reasons. He's like,
find this blood-guzzling serial killer before Batwoman does.
And then they see the party Kate is holding posted on Asian's Instagram, and Black Lightning goes to keep an eye on things because she is the only one who works here. Do they have anyone else who leads the crows? Do they not have different divisions with leaders and Sophie is like the overseer of a few of them or something? It's like she's the only employee, especially when they need drama, they just send her in. The party is on and we see Luke and Kate watching the cameras. He compares this to digital garlic. The first time I was watching this, I had a fucking aneurysm trying to figure that out because it made no sense, and then I realized that I was getting too hung up on Batwoman dialogue, so I'm just replacing everything I said there with this spinning seal. But Black Lightning shows up at the party and Luke is a simp while Kate looks a little constipated. But there's some meaningless conversation and I'm still wondering how they're going to catch the vampire, so I didn't really pay attention. She uses medical shit, so she's not actually a vampire. They kind of act like it could be a real one, or at least Kate is thinking she's a real one. If they didn't know anything about her, then I would have given them some credit for that, but the fact that they know already? She gets jealous of Black Lightning flirting with people again, and Jacob gets all bitchy with his crows, and they go off to look at some footage alluding to Black Lightning fraternizing with Batwoman. I'm not even surprised at this because she has, both of them have, been so careless where they meet each other that anyone can see it. Kate is talking to the person she suspects is the vampire, and they're mumbling so quietly because this lively party is apparently quiet enough for soft conversation.
And we're already having our first fight. Batwoman, pro or con? Batwoman.
As a comparison, do you remember Fire Walk With Me where you can't hear what they're saying in the pink room because it's supposed to be loud in there? This is the opposite of that. But the vampire lady is being obvious about wanting the blood and needs to drink some water because the sight of blood makes her horny or something.
Sorry, blood makes me, Can I get some water?
Asian catches Luke talking to Kate and is like, why are you talking to her? Do you have an earpiece? Well, it is a normal thing to do that with the owner of the place, but instead of saying that and diffusing any sort of tension or suspicion, he fumbles and acts awkward, making her even more suspicious when he didn't have to do that. Then Alice just randomly shows up. Why? Because she's looking for Malice. Kate says she doesn't know where he is, and Alice launches into her usual speech of bullshit. Kate then says,
The crows think you're dead. You got a second chance, Alice.
As if Alice is gonna turn around and be a good person. You've released her how many times and she still kills people and comes after you? Honestly, you're asking for it at this point. She then gets mad at Kate for wanting Beth to live instead of her, and yet Alice was trying to kill Beth the entire time anyway, so how can she act like she was the better option? Kate then calls her a compassionate person and lets her go.
She was you. Kind, compassionate, good version of you. Version who couldn't survive.
Then Alice is talking and gets close up to the camera as if it's like a Jamiroquai music video, and the vampire gets her too. Kate gets miffed because Luke calls the police, and he tries to explain to her that that's what happens when a psychopath shows up, but she doesn't get it. Then they pull up the vampire lady on their computer and read her life story. She has a disease and needs to steal blood, and her body can't handle the sunlight. So then we cut to Alice, who has so much blood taken out of her that the other victims had passed out at that point, but she's still awake and bargaining with the vampire. She's saying that they should just stop this and part ways as if they never met, but this bitch steals blood because of her medical condition, so why not go to the bootleg hospital instead? Isn't that the point of it, to help out people who don't have any medical opportunities because they can't afford it or something? But Alice then convinces her that better blood is around, meaning Asian with her super blood. So I guess that's how she's going to save herself this time, by throwing Asian under the bus, even though we just had a scene that made us try to believe that she's a good person. Meanwhile, Jacob gets mad at Black Lightning because he knows that she's fucking around with Batwoman somehow, but they cut the scene off and just go back to the other shit without ending it properly.
I'm a crow through and through.
Batwoman finds Alice, who isn't really talking about how she got out or where the vampire lady is. Meanwhile, Asian is helping someone while they vomit after the party, and vampire lady takes this opportunity to strike. Kate has her mask off for some reason and is talking to Luke when she realizes that the ropes are bell ropes and asks Alice for help, but you know, Alice is obviously not going to give you any information, you idiot. So Kate figures out that it's the cathedral that's abandoned in the city and fights vampire lady there with more unfitting music. Alice is clearly fine now and helps Kate out of nowhere. Where did this come from? All of the other victims were out cold for a while, but Alice just doesn't give a shit. She helps Asian, and the blood type was not mentioned at all in the show whatsoever, as if it wasn't important, and I thought they were just ignoring it for the sake of the plot, but only now do they mention it. She says that Kate should just leave her alone with Asian, who she got into this mess in the first place, while Kate chases the vampire lady, and Kate actually listens to her and does this. But there's this really dramatic clip of her throwing the batarang, and it hits nothing, and then the blood bags drop and Vampire does this hilarious scream. She gets hit with the rays and has a acne breakout. Black Lightning is confronted by Jacob again and the phone rings, so he makes her answer it, and fucking Batwoman calls her about what just happened, so it confirms his fears, and Jacob is like, "You have to choose between the crows and the bat vagina." Asian wakes up in the hospital and thinks that Batwoman brought her in, so they leave it at that. But she also says that Vampire knew about her special blood, so Kate realizes the obvious fact that Alice was the reason that Asian was taken in the first place, and just walks into Alice's bait. Alice is like, "You like that I lived, you want me to live, admit it." And Kate's like, "No, I'm not guilty about you anymore. You're a vampire feeding off my guilt."
And they call Nocturna a vampire, when all you do is feed off my guilt, like the parasite you are.
Kate then says that she wishes she never saved Alice, and she has now given up hope for Alice, even though she said this in another episode before, I think, so. Then Alice, in like 5 minutes, figures out that the Doctor Man is the evil skin dude. Remember all of the drama last time about how he was hiding himself and walking into where Mouse was in the hospital and how dramatic the reveal was? Apparently it would be a big deal, like this reveal was going to be multiple episodes long for them to figure it out. She just figured it out in 5 minutes. And then she realizes that he must have Mouse. But Rachel Maddow is on the radio talking about how the vampire was caught. I guess everyone was assuming it was a real vampire because she sounds pretty surprised too. But then Asian hears on the radio that ketamine was used as the paralytic, and has like 3 flashbacks to shit that we've already seen this episode. I don't need to see this again. She picks up the magazine where Batwoman came out as gay, and realizes, finally, that Kate is Batwoman. They also have another shitty song playing while Kate and Black Lightning kiss. How is this a secret rendezvous when Black Lightning used the signal to make her come here to kiss her? How does Batwoman even know where to go when the signal is on? Ugh, whatever. Lesbioni. Episode 14 is an interesting one. This has some visual effects that I cannot explain, I just have to show you. It opens with a reject from Glee staring at herself in the mirror in 2011. She does some makeup while this tutorial plays about how ugly she is naturally and needs to put makeup on. This is art, guys. However, she sees herself in the mirror and sees a Vegas Pro filter and punches it. Then she cuts her face into a smile Jeff the Killer style and stands looking in the mirror while her mom screams at her. Meanwhile, at Batwoman's bar, she serves coffee with her own Batwoman logo on it, and I'm not surprised. Black Lightning and Asian talk about Batwoman, and Black Lightning gets all giddy about meeting up with her later. Meanwhile, Luke is trying to ask Kate about how much Black Lightning knows and whether this could jeopardize her or not, but Kate is being bitchy about him asking because she doesn't understand why any of this is important. Why are you a superhero? Also, the main thing in this series is rich people bad, so why does she get to be a good rich person? This isn't even mentioning where she got the money from, it's just like every rich person is bad except me. Alice reads her obituary and is very unhappy with it.
Mentally deranged leader? That's my synopsis?
Sounds like a good description to me because she has said that she's insane before and relished in it, so I don't know why this is upsetting her now. She gets a pic of the Doctor and recognizes him from his pipe to confirm that it's really the evil Skin Man. I guess that pipe that looks like a normal pipe is a one of a kind. Jacob gets a request to help a lawyer with the case of the person who saved him from being stabbed in prison, even though no one saw it at the time. But he was also the guy who killed Luke's dad. I totally care about that subplot that never gets any time besides when they want to pad an episode. Black Lightning is preparing for her date, which is happening at their house? Which is also dumb because if someone follows Batwoman here, then Black Lightning's gonna be in trouble too. Batwoman tries to break it off and kisses her anyway. But someone interrupts them. That someone is Black Lightning's mom, who almost walked in on them. Batwoman just stands outside on the balcony and pretends that that's a good hiding place. The smiley Jeff the Killer person is on her way to kidnap an Instagram model who's at a photo shoot. The lights go out and Creepypasta Lady comes in, so the Instagram model runs to the exit while the Creepypasta Lady walks after her very slowly. She got to that first, but the thing that I hate in shows happen where someone is walking and someone else is running, but they use editing to make the walking person like teleport ahead of them, almost as if they have supernatural abilities. According to Asian in the bootleg hospital, people are going web silent out of respect for the Instagrammer, which is a reminder that Instagram sucks. Didn't Alice know about this hospital? Aren't you a little scared that she's gonna come walking in? Black Lightning says that she fell out of love with the husband and stopped working with the crows, and Mom is concerned about what she's going to do now. Black Lightning says that she wants to be more like Batwoman, which I take to mean wanting to be more like a villain, but Mom reveals that she's anti-gay. Of course she is. So after this, Black Lightning meets up with Batwoman next to some alleyway, and they talk about boring stuff. Then she confronts the Doctor about his former patient, Creepypasta Lady. She got surgery after cutting herself in 2011. She didn't want her face fixed, but her mum was the one who made the decision for her. But Black Lightning thinks that this is the surgeon's fault, even though a lot of the responsibility is on the mum.
You ever cut a smile into a patient's face? No, Agent Moore.
She just straight up asks him if he ever cut a smile into a patient's face before. Wouldn't there be a record of that happening? And if there wasn't, why would he tell you? Also, since this is the evil Skin Man in disguise, does he just live as a normal dude while he's disguised and helps people? He's not evil all the time, right? So I wonder what he did at home while he was lying low. Is he just a normal guy? Batwoman finds some magazines and yearbooks with everyone's faces scratched out with Shrek cum. Luke gets the buttons on her suit mixed up and tells her to press one that gives her some bullshit face scanner. She takes a few of the things, but not everything, so she could be leaving some vital evidence behind, but you know, whatever. Then she finds the victim bleeding and gets into a fight with Creepypasta Lady, who 3 teleports behind you. So Creepypasta Lady kills the victim and runs away. What about all those gadgets that you have on your wrists that can catch people, like the random hook that came out of your hand once and stuff? Where are they? Alice kidnapped a therapist and is ranting to him because only now does she care about the fact that she's insane, so she makes up her mind that she's going to kill her dad for closure. After she said that she's scared of killing people, she wishes that she could make this weekly, which she could have, but she kills him anyway, despite acting like she wants to be a good person. She only kidnapped him for one session. You make skin masks and disguises, couldn't you have done this another way? Mouse didn't know that Alice was apparently dead until now, and he's shocked to hear this, and I wonder why he only got told this now when it happened days ago, and gets the fear toxins put into him. Asian confirmed who the person in the photo that Batwoman took is. Her original name is Stinker?
My name was Murda Stinker.
We need to find that cosmetics truck.
But their clue is looking for a van with purple on it to find where Creepypasta Lady is. So Luke runs a color filter over a satellite and finds a purple van, but the dude in it is already attacked. And since Kate couldn't find the lady she's looking for, she puts the dude back without helping him. Black Lightning appears and warns that the crows are gonna show up any minute, and she runs off with Batwoman to the bike. Didn't you come here in your car? Isn't this only gonna implicate you further? Why are you running with her? This is why Jacob knew that you were fucking around with her. Asian walks in on Alice taking medicine from the bootleg hospital. Alice says that it's stolen anyway, so Asian is getting mad at her even though she's a hypocrite, which is a good point. But did Asian not think that this was going to happen? Alice says that she knows who Batwoman is, and Asian is like, oh. Meanwhile, the Instagrammer is being dropped into a vat of acid and she's being all angry and insulting the person who's dropping her into it. You realize that's gonna make her want to kill you more, right? Well, the heroes come in and Black Lightning is doing the fighting while Kate is just standing there looking cool. She just waits for a while until she jams the gears with a batarang. I guess she wanted to wait for the beat to drop in her headphones or something. But the batarang breaks and only then does Kate swing in and somehow the chain holding the Instagrammer breaks as they both land on the ground. I'm not really sure what Kate does just standing around and waiting for the right moment. It cuts to Kate and Black Lightning talking outside suddenly. After all of this, it just abruptly cuts to this. And they're talking about breaking up, which they should have done already. They also make some dumb mask metaphors. I was just thinking, where are the people who you were here with? Where are the other people? You were just fighting people. Where are they? Inside, they just left the bad guy there. They just left her tied up. They didn't even tie up her legs. They just fucking left her there. And Alice walks in and finds her. Somehow the crows only get there afterwards, and they find that she has no face. So the superhero didn't even watch over her. So Alice, wearing the face of the creepypasta lady, goes to see the doctor for revenge. She bullshits a bit before taking off the mask and revealing that it's her. He doesn't even move throughout all of this. She even telegraphs what she's gonna do before she knocks him out and he just stands there. I'm not even gonna mention the fact that the creepypasta lady would have died of shock because her face was removed, but you know, who cares? She probably would have been in shock when she cut her face open, but that just happened anyway. Black Lightning has a conversation with her mum and she confesses that she's gay for closure. She also says that she never loved her husband, and I feel worse for him really. But the mum gets all religious and leaves. There's no one in the bar once again because Kate doesn't know how to run a bar. So Asian and Kate talk and try to reference old events that happened to them from the start of the season as if it's a massive and nostalgic journey that they've been on. There's some quiet music in the background. She alludes to her thinking that Kate is a shitty person for telling Alice that she's Batwoman and not telling Asian. She is for also a lot of other things as well. Alice then pulls off the doctor's mask in her lair after she kidnapped him, but the mask wasn't even on his face. She does more of her acting and asks where Mouse is. He starts laughing and it cuts to Mouse with the fear toxin in. He could try pulling this off by swinging the pipe, but he doesn't. This is definitely Batwoman, alright.
Our daddy taught us not to be ashamed of our dicks.
I kept pushing it off.
Episode 15, the last episode for today, brings the real crazy if you can believe it. We start off with the piss-coloured flashback filter and the Kane family reveal that they were Jewish all along, which I think is something from the original characters, but these guys just kind of dumped in the lore now. Also, it doesn't really come back, it's just something that they reference now. They're coming back from church and the mum, who we see for the first time, gave the kids a red necklace. She also shows her earrings.
Present day. Present time.
Some lady is walking down an alleyway and this dude is very stealthily following behind. She's on the phone and stops, turns around and asks him what his deal is. If someone's following you, why are you stopping? He could just lunge at you, big brain. But he looks like a creeper and is a creeper, but Batwoman shows up just in time to fight him. But he's not even knocked out and she doesn't even check if he's knocked out before she turns her back on him to talk to the lady. He shoots, luckily just hitting the armor instead of her flesh, and she turns around to continue beating him, which she should have done in the first place. She once again does not check before turning around and leaving. She looks at the bat signal. The evil mask dude is beside it, passed out with a note from Alice telling Kate to ask about Mommy Dearest. Looks like we're going to get some terrible exposition this episode.
Sometimes I'm pulling it so hard, I rip the skin.
Jacob knocks on the bar door and we see, oh, you're keeping him in the bar? Okay. She makes Jacob take a shot before telling him what happened, and he's like, Alice is dead though, and she's like, nuh-uh, and then he seems perfectly fine with the idea of this. Alice, for some reason, is directly searching for Mouse instead of sending her many minions to check the place before her, and she finds him somehow not dead from the days of breathing in only fear toxin. She goes for the tank first instead of taking the mask off immediately. He then screams at her and she slaps him, so I guess that's sorted out. She also does her coded language thing to test if he's okay, but she doesn't really check him in any other ways to see if he could attack her, and he says that this is the Queen's house. Turns out the Queen is the masked dude's mum, who's a crazy bitch. She gets out of her car in another piss-covered flashback. She's on oxygen as well, and Alice, who is now in her mental crazy mode, is just casually living in the skin dude's family. The grandma's a bitch immediately, they're just rushing through all of this in one episode. The masked dude is even afraid of her. So there's clearly something wrong with her that's made him all fucked up, and my thing is, if they're having a tragic backstory thing that gives Alice an excuse for being evil, where is Skin Dad's excuse? Because he clearly had a tragic backstory as well, since the mom is a bitch.
Your mother's a bitch.
Alice is allowed her excuse. The gay lady who tried to crash the train is allowed her excuse. But this man doesn't have an excuse, even though he clearly has some sort of backstory that made him this way.
Aren't you a curious thing with your milky young complexion?
Back with the Skin Man in present day, Kate casually says that Alice that died could have been one of the minions with a skin mask disguised as Alice. They clearly would have known that if they did the autopsy, the mask would have come off immediately.
Lab was an imposter?
Or another skin pirate minion. Gotham has seen crazier things.
But Jacob just leaves it at that and moves on. He wonders what the fuck to do, and Kate immediately jumps to murdering the man.
Rise and shine, you son of a bitch.
Your mother's a bitch.
He then jumps to torture. Kate asks about what Mother Dearest is. Instead of being like, what the fuck, and convincing them he's not involved, he just goes, I am the mastermind, I will win, not Alice. If you were really the mastermind, this wouldn't be happening.
Alice is playing games against the master of games. I'm not going to let her win.
Why is he even talking? They can't do anything to him. He has power over them as well because he still has his disguise to the public, so he could easily get them thrown in jail, but he's not using it. Mouse then shows that he went crazy from the gas and attacks Alice. He puts her in his place and puts the fear toxin in. The thing has been running for 2 days, but I guess it still has enough juice in it to keep going. She then ends up in her own psycho world. But we get a lot of flashbacks and the grandma with shitty opera music. If you had scoped out the place beforehand, this wouldn't have happened. Meanwhile, Luke is doing B-plot stuff, including going to the bootleg hospital. They paid this guy to come in for answers for the B-plot murder mystery, and they don't realize that he'd lie for money. Just look at him, how is this working? Meanwhile, Skin Man says that he used the fear gas to convince Mouse that Alice is the big bad. How did he do that when he just left Mouse alone? Did he come back and try to talk to him to convince him that Alice is bad, or did he just automatically know that Mouse would think that? What is the lore behind this fear toxin? And I'm not talking about the original, I'm talking about in Batwoman, because they clearly did something to fuck with it. He also knows, or I guess he just assumes, that Mouse will give Alice the same treatment, and if they don't find her soon, she'll be dead. Why is she worth saving in the first place? Jacob gets super angry and lunges at him, and Kate says,
If you kill him, then we are no better than he is.
No, I don't think that's how that works. But he keeps telling them stuff about the grandma. He's just giving them answers. In a flashback, Alice is talking to the grandma, who is mumbling about how her marriage sucked and she lost her beauty.
I wasted my life with a man who never loved me and took too long to die.
She's just blurting out her backstory too. Who wrote this, Doug Walker? She slaps Alice for making tea too sweet and then burns her with the tea and cuts her hair off. It just happens. It's like she's trying to speedrun being evil. Then it goes to Alice being an adult, and it's like, did the old lady live this long? How are you living here this long? She is running around looking for cream, and I find it so hard to believe that she's still living here at this age. But she goes to look for it in the shed.
Granny creams, hot butter ice cream. We take the hot butter.
The Skin Dad just continues his exposition to them, explaining everything for no reason. Kate then goes off on Alice's guilt trip monologue, and Jacob makes more threats. So the Skin Dad is secretly out of his ties and he's gonna escape now. I guess he really is the mastermind. She gives him some water in a glass when there are bottles available, and then she leaves the glass beside him, because the script says that he's gonna break the glass and use it as a weapon, so you gotta leave it there. The cut is not even as bad as any of the other injuries that Batwoman has witnessed or saved someone from, yet she stands there while he is apparently bleeding to death from a shallow cut and doesn't really seem that motivated to do anything. These two are in the car yard for their B-plot, where they happen to find the car that they're looking for in 5 minutes, with all of the murder weapons conveniently inside. They grab it and tamper with the evidence immediately, and don't even bother taking care of it properly. Asian gets a call from Kate about closing a wound, and Kate says, "Don't worry, it's the bad guy."
He's the bad guy. He has information that I need.
And she uses a damn staple gun to somehow make it work. Alice is crawling around in the depression chamber and finds the old lady who is saying no one will save her. She has another vision of Batwoman and Jacob fighting, then they both decided that the world is better without Alice. This is true. But the show is trying to make you feel sorry for Alice. After the stapling, the guy is just fine. His plan didn't work, what a mastermind. Kate just decides that the best thing to do is grandstand for a couple minutes. Asian is trying to find the Batcave and Luke is on his laptop, not keeping an eye on her even though she's so close to the switch. He's not at all concerned that she's getting closer and closer, but he makes a breakthrough. The grandma is connected to the murder weapon of the skin dad, so now they know who killed Beth. Alice knocks the fucking chair over and she's just free. Mouse didn't think of this in 2 days, but Alice figured it out in like, what, 5 minutes? She says some shit I don't understand and can't escape the room. She also wants to stab herself because she's all depressed. Jacob busts down the damn door and gets all sympathetic. He fights her to get the shard away and she gets a shot of adrenaline. Fear toxin and adrenaline. How on earth does the fear toxin work? I don't understand how this works. If the adrenaline helps you get through the fear, then how does... Never mind. She tried to kill Jacob. Why is he helping her? He is just fine with her now too. They're sitting with a blanket and talking. He says that he cares. That's all the context you need, I guess. He just cares. She was even kind of finding herself and realizing how much of a terrible person she is, but he just undid all of that. The earrings come back as well, because now Skin Man gives more information, saying that the grandma had them because she coveted them. Alice finds the frozen head of her mother in the storage. So the car crashes, and then the mom dies. Alice is picked up, but the skin dad also found the mom's body and took her head, keeping it fresh all those years somehow, and the grandma is like, I want her face, give me the face, give me the earrings too. But he keeps arguing with her and then finally caves in and gives her the earrings and keeps the face. And then years later, Alice opens the storage to see the head in perfect condition. Okay. But Kate finds this out and decides that she's gonna slap a bitch. Then Alice walks in after seeing the head and just burns out the grandma with her own oxygen tank. Kate is such a retard that she actually kills the skin man by accident and tries doing CPR when he has blood loss as if that's gonna help, and screams live, but he's dead.
Live! Come on! Live!
Bitch!
Even Jacob does the CPR thing. It won't work, but he freaks out and Alice comes in and closes the skin man's eyes, acting as though Kate being shitty and killing people is a new thing. Kate immediately is in an alley drinking heavily and drunk texting. They're speedrunning plot points. This is all one episode. How is this your first text with Black Lightning 2? Where is your text history? Alice appears and talks about burying the body, so I guess they're just a team now. How is this a mastermind thing? He faked not knowing about the car with the murder weapon regarding Beth, but then he tells the truth about everything else. How are you even getting out of this? What an idiot. Don't even get me started on the damn Staples thing, and what's the Jewish thing for? Besides showing the mom's face. How is the bad guy gonna go unnoticed when he had a surgery thing and patients at the hospital? His body isn't just gonna not be searched for.
That you cannot.
I mentioned this only at the end because I'm stupid, but I have the join feature now. If you don't like subscriber stuff for whatever reason, then this is more convenient to you. It's just the same content. I have some emotes and stuff up and everything that I've made in terms of extras. I'll also be posting one more for December and going through the Batwoman videos, and that should be a wrap up for the year. Next year, however, we're gonna get into more exciting shit, and hopefully Batwoman Season 2 is gonna come along because I am definitely reacting to that too. Anyhow, get the fuck off my island.